Okay, let's paint a very specific picture. Imagine it's, say, a Tuesday morning and it's raining. You know the kind. That steady drizzle that makes everything feel a bit gray, a bit heavy outside.
A bit dreary.
Exactly. But you're inside, maybe in a nice warm cafe. You can smell the coffee, maybe pastries baking. It feels cozy.
You'd think it'd be quiet, people reading, maybe working, comfortable silence.
Right. But then you look over at this corner table. There are four people there. And the vibe is, well, it's completely different. It's thick with this unspoken tension, financial anxiety, basically.
That's such a relatable image, isn't it? Because it immediately puts us right into that quiet internal worry that money stress creates. You can feel so alone with it, even in a crowd.
Precisely. And that scene, that specific moment in the cafe, that's our jumping off point for this deep dive today. We're looking at the very start of the book, Wealthy Canadian.
Specifically the prologue, where we meet these four characters all kind of wrestling with their own money problems.
And our source material isn't just this prologue scene. We've also got some notes from the authors, the crew, as they call themselves, and some background on who they actually are.
So our mission here, for you listening, is to really unpack this opening section. We want to pull out the key insights, understand what kind of financial struggles this book tackles right from page one.
Yeah, and why it's specifically aimed at, everyday Canadians, like you. And we'll get a sense of who these authors are, the guides promising to help us navigate all this.
Think of it as your shortcut to the heart of Wealthy Canadian's beginning, understanding its core message, its purpose, just by looking closely at how it starts.
So let's dive in. Let's meet the people at that cafe table.
Okay, so the prologue, it really plays up that initial quietness, right?
Yeah.
But it's a heavy quiet. And eventually it breaks because the weight of their individual money worries just gets too much.
It's such a good way to show how financial stress feels. It's common, lots of people feel it, but it feels so personal, almost like something you shouldn't talk about.
Yeah, like this quiet burden you carry around.
So the first person we meet is Linda. She's 53, a single mom, and she's the one who kind of breaks the silence with a sigh.
And her main struggle, it's right there up front. Running a small business, post-divorce. That just sounds incredibly demanding on its own.
It is, and the source digs into the specific pressures she's under, pressures that are amplified because she's doing it alone.
Right, like suppliers demanding payment up front. That's tough for any small business, but way harder without a partner's income or support to fall back on.
She actually feels like the system itself turns the screws on her just because she's single, managing everything. There's no backup income, no one else's credit history, no shared savings buffer.
Exactly. And it's not just the business pressure, is it?
No, not at all. The prologue mentions her daughter Maya applying for university. Those application fees, that's a big chunk of change, especially for a single parent.
It's another layer in that constant juggling act. Money for the business, money for the household, money for these big future costs like education. It all has to come from that one potentially unpredictable small business income.
And then there's the emotional side. The source is really clear. No backup, no one to split these worries with, financially or emotionally.
That weight is immense, making every single financial decision alone, feeling the full impact of every setback. That's exhausting, and it's often overlooked when we talk about single parents or sole proprietors.
She looks at her financial statements, dreams about retiring, maybe traveling a bit, but the numbers just feel like a brick wall.
Oof, that's a powerful phrase, isn't it? Not just a hurdle, but something solid, blocking her future hopes.
That feeling of being stuck, working so hard, making sacrifices, but your financial reality just doesn't line up with where you want to go. That's tough.
It leads to real despair. And her cynicism about the stock market, calling it a casino where the house always wins, that resonates with a lot of people, doesn't it?
Yeah, people who feel investing is too complex or rigged against the little guy. Maybe they've been burned before or just don't trust it.
And rebuilding after divorce is its own specific battle. She calls it an uphill battle, fighting for every penny.
You're often starting from scratch, maybe with less money, maybe with debt from the separation, plus all the emotional baggage. It's a really difficult fresh start.
And then there's the guilt. Feeling bad, she can't provide that, traditional two-parent financial setup for Maya, even though Maya apparently understands.
That parental instinct to provide, feeling like you're falling short financially, it's heavy. It shows money worries aren't just about numbers. They're tied up with who we are, our security, how we care for people.
Absolutely. So thinking about Linda, for you listening, does any of that ring true? Maybe the pressure of running a business and personal finances solo?
Or perhaps you've been through that challenge of rebuilding financially after a big life change, like divorce or losing a job.
Linda's story really highlights why having a clear plan, understanding your finances, and knowing where to get support isn't just nice to have. It feels absolutely vital to avoid feeling completely overwhelmed.
Her situation just screams for guidance that gets the whole picture, the business, the personal life, the big changes.
Okay, so moving from Linda, we shift gears quite a bit. We meet Zara. She's 22, hunched over her phone.
And her struggle is very immediate, very modern. Student loan debt versus an entry-level salary.
Yeah, the source gets really specific here. Her first student loan bill arrives. It's a lot, $500,
Yeah.
which is almost half her rent.
Wow, yeah. Imagine starting out wanting to build your life, and you're already facing this mountain of debt, as the book calls it. You're starting behind the 8 ball.
And it's not happening in a vacuum, right? There's social media.
Oh, yeah. She's seeing everyone on TikTok buying crypto, going on amazing trips. That FOMO, the fear of missing out, it's intense, makes her feel like she's way behind.
That comparison game, amplified by perfectly curated online lives, it's a huge driver of anxiety today. And it can lead to, well, rash decisions.
Like the crypto story.
Exactly. Throw in a couple $100 at some meme coin and poof, it's gone.
She jokes it was her avocado toast budget, which is funny. But it shows how even small financial missteps feel huge when you're just scraping by. It's a relatable, modern mistake driven by trends and that feeling of needing to keep up.
And the advice she gets from her parent,
Classic. Just budget better, Zara.
which, sounds simple, but totally misses her reality. The gig work, the side hustles, just to make ends meet, the pressure to have it all figured out at 22.
It really points to a generational gap in understanding money, doesn't it? The old rules, work hard, save, buy a house, they don't always fit the current world for young people.
Not with stagnant entry-level wages. Crazy housing costs that make saving for a down payment feel like a fantasy, and navigating things like crypto alongside traditional banking. Her goal of owning a condo feels impossible right now.
So, thinking about Zara, do you feel that FOMO pressure from social media about money, lifestyle?
Or can you relate to that feeling of an entry-level wage just not stretching far enough,
Gerry.
covering basics, let alone debt?
Maybe you've also felt that traditional advice just doesn't quite get the realities of today's economy, student debt, or the housing market, especially for younger people.
Zara's story really captures that financial tightrope walk so many young Canadians are on, and the need for advice that's relevant, non-judgmental, and gets the digital world they live in.
Okay, next at the table is Raj. He's 35, staring at his muffin. And his worry. Instantly recognizable for a lot of homeowners right now.
Mortgage renewal with high interest rates. The source says he's dreading it.
Oh, you can feel that dread. It's the fear of one of your biggest expenses suddenly jumping up. Maybe dramatically. It's causing sleepless nights for a lot of families in Canada lately.
And a higher mortgage payment means cutting back somewhere else, often painfully.
And that potential hike connects directly to a savings problem. He and his wife, Sarah, they're trying really hard to max out the RESP for their kids, Chloe and Sam.
The RESP, the Registered Education Savings Plan. It's that Canadian account specifically for saving for kids' education, often with government grants boosting it.
Right. But focusing on the RESP means his own retirement account gets scraps.
And that's the classic painful trade-off for parents, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got this vital near-term goal, helping your kids avoid crushing student debt, versus a crucial long-term goal, your own retirement security.
Both feel essential, but often the money just isn't there for both. So one gets prioritized, or maybe both end up underfunded. It's stressful.
Adding to his stress is his job situation. It's stable, which is good.
But no real growth. He feels like he's stuck on a treadmill, working harder just to stay in the same place financially.
That treadmill feeling, so many people feel that today. Your income might be steady, but if costs, housing, groceries, everything are rising faster, you're just running to keep up, it feels like you can never get ahead.
And the fear isn't just for himself. He worries he's not doing enough for his kids' future either.
That drive to give your kids a better start, it's powerful. But it's also a huge source of stress when money is tight.
And it spills over, right? His wife, Sarah, is stressed, picking up extra shifts. They barely see each other. Financial stress really impacts relationships, family life.
Absolutely. And his parents' advice. Sounds familiar?
Yep. Work harder, son. But Raj feels like the landscape is different now. The goalposts keep shifting.
It's that generational thing again. The strategies that worked before, maybe a more predictable career, different housing market, they don't always apply now. Just working harder might not cut it if the system itself has changed.
And the story about buying their house? Wow. Very specific, very relatable for some.
They bought at the peak, got into a bidding war, and waived all conditions. He even admits it was stupid looking back.
That pressure cooker of a hot housing market, making huge, risky decisions like waiving inspections because you're desperate to get in.
And it leaves them house rich and cash poor. They own a valuable asset on paper, but don't have much liquid cash for anything else. Emergencies, investing, even just daily life.
Which explains that not in my stomach feeling he gets over everyday things like buying kids' shoes or paying for school trips, even with a stable job and a house.
It speaks volumes about being financially stretched, even when things look okay on the surface.
So for you listening, are you feeling that stress about interest rates, maybe a mortgage renewal coming up?
Do you feel that pull between saving for your kids' education and your own retirement? Like you can't do both properly.
Or maybe you relate to that financial treadmill feeling, working hard, stable job, but still getting that knot in your stomach over everyday costs.
Raj really embodies the anxieties of many families in those prime earning years, juggling debt, costs, and future planning.
Okay, our final person at the table is Gerry. He's 70, stirring his tea, his focus, retirement finances, and dealing with those unexpected costs that pop up later in life.
Gerry's important because he shows financial worries don't just vanish when you retire. He's actually in a decent spot in some ways. He's grateful for his teacher's pension.
Yeah, that helps a lot. But the source makes a really specific, important point about government pensions.
Right. It notes that the maximum government pension, thinking old age security, maybe CPP or QPP combined, is less than $26,000 this year, 2025.
And Gerry says flat out that amount does not cover the essentials.
That's a crucial reality check. It busts the myth that you can just rely on government benefits for a comfortable retirement in Canada. It underscores why you absolutely need additional savings, a private pension like Gerry's, or personal savings like RRSPs or TFSAs.
And Gerry actually downsized his house, which helped him be okay for now. That shows even asset-rich seniors might need to tap into home equity just to supplement income.
But even with planning and downsizing, life throws curveballs. The source mentions his medication costs went up unexpectedly.
And then, bam, he breaks his dental bridge. A $10,000 repair bill after insurance helped.
Those are the health shocks that terrify people in retirement. Provincial health care covers a lot, but there are still big gaps. Drugs, dental, vision, maybe long-term care later. One bad break, literally, can wipe out savings meant for other things.
Which leads right to his biggest fear. What if I need more care later? Will there be enough?
That is the major anxiety for so many seniors and their families. Long-term care costs in Canada are huge. Support varies. It's this massive potential expense that's hard to predict and plan for.
He also has this touching desire to leave something tangible for his grandkids, more than just memories.
But that clashes with his fear of becoming a burden on his own kids. He calls it a fine line.
That's a really tricky balance, isn't it? Wanting to leave a legacy, help the next generation, but also making sure you have enough for your own potential needs, especially expensive care. The fear of running out of money and depending on your kids is a big one.
It complicates everything estate planning, how you spend your retirement savings.
And the source adds another layer, not strictly financial, but so important. His loneliness since his wife Martha passed away 3 years ago. That silence in that condo can be deafening.
Loneliness isn't a line item on a budget, but it deeply affects well-being. It impacts mental health, which can impact physical health, even the ability to manage money well. It adds vulnerability.
It highlights that financial security isn't just about the dollars and cents. It's tied to your support systems, your emotional state.
Yeah, that phrase about the golden years sometimes feeling more like tarnished brass. It's poignant because it captures the reality that retirement isn't always carefree.
So, thinking about Gerry, are you concerned about healthcare costs in retirement? For yourself or maybe for older family members?
Do you think about that tension between leaving a legacy and making sure you're covered for potential long-term care?
Does Gerry's experience make you realize that retirement security is about more than just the savings number? It's about planning for the unexpected, thinking about care, and considering overall well-being.
Gerry's story is such a vital reminder that retirement planning needs to be about longevity, health, independence, and dignity, not just accumulating assets.
What's really striking after hearing about Linda, Zara, Raj, and Gerry is how Zara puts it. It's like we're all drowning in different oceans, but all equally out of breath.
Exactly. They're in totally different life stages, facing Different specific problems: business owners, student debt, mortgage stress, retirement costs.
But the feeling underneath is the same. Overwhelmed, anxious, lacking control, like they can't catch their breath financially.
The source nails the common thread:
It's
money or the lack of clarity around it. It's not always just about not having enough, but the uncertainty, the complexity, feeling like you don't know how to handle your situation. That lack of clarity is the shared weight.
and that shared feeling, that realization they're all struggling alone, that's what pushes them to finally look for someone.
Right. The turning point comes from Gerry. He mentions his neighbor, Agnes, had a really good experience with a financial planner named Jordan. Agnes apparently called him some kind of miracle worker. High praise.
Which naturally meets with some initial skepticism from the others.
Totally. Zara scoffs. It sounds expensive, scary, like being called to the principal's office. You only go there when you're in trouble.
That's such a real barrier for people. The cost, can I even afford help if I'm struggling? And the fear of judgment. Opening up about your money mistakes feels vulnerable.
And Linda, given her past, she's cynical, worried about planners just selling products, earning commissions, not acting in her best interest. She finds trusting someone with her money terrifying after being burned before.
That mistrust is understandable, unfortunately. It highlights why finding someone trustworthy, maybe someone fee-only or with a clear fiduciary duty, is so important. Bad past experiences can really stop people from seeking help again.
But then Agnes's description of this Jordan character starts to change their minds. She says he's different. A bit quirky, maybe, but sharp.
And the key is how he communicates. Turns complex money stuff into plain English, uses jokes, and this is crucial, he listens to you.
Those are the magic words for anyone intimidated by finance. Plain English cuts through jargon, humor makes it less stressful, and feeling listened to means the advice will be tailored to you, not generic.
Agnes even mentions he helped her sort out her estate and investments when no one else could. That's concrete proof he gets results.
And that's when Raj has his realization. They're basically doing financial therapy every week anyway, just complaining. They're tired of the anxiety. Maybe Jordan could actually help.
It's that moment where the pain of not changing becomes bigger than the fear of asking for help. They realize doing nothing isn't working.
So they agree to try. But Zara and Linda have conditions, which reveal exactly what they need and fear.
Zara says she can handle quirky and jokes, but she wants her crypto loss explained without making her feel like an idiot.
That's huge. It's about wanting guidance without judgment or shame for past mistakes, especially with new things like crypto. People want help, not criticism.
And Linda's conditions are so clear. First, a realistic path to retirement that doesn't involve eating cat food.
It's funny, but direct. She needs a practical, achievable plan that gives her hope and dignity, acknowledging her challenges, but finding a real way forward.
And second, she demands not to be treated like a damsel in financial distress just because she's a single mom.
Yes. Rejecting stereotypes, demanding respect for her capability. Financial pros need to see clients as competent individuals navigating tough situations, not helpless victims. Especially women, single parents, who often manage incredibly complex finances.
So with those needs aired, Raj leans in, there's a spark of hope. Gerry offers to get Jordan's number. They agree.
And the mood shifts. A fragile sense of shared purpose. The gloom lifts momentarily. A tiny seed of hope. They leave with the beginnings of a plan.
That shift from lonely anxiety to a shared decision, a glimmer of hope, it's powerful. Just deciding to take action, to seek guidance, can bring relief.
It shows that first step doesn't have to be huge. Just deciding to explore options together can make a difference.
So, thinking about that part, for you listening, do you recognize those barriers to getting financial advice? Cost, intimidation, mistrust.
Do those qualities Agnes described in Jordan, plain English, humor, listening, sound like what you'd want? Maybe compared to past experiences or stereotypes.
And does their shared decision feel like a relatable first step towards tackling financial challenges you might be facing?
It's that journey from feeling stuck to finding a potential path, often needing someone to help make sense of it all.
Which leads us perfectly to the people who wrote this book, offering their own guidance. After the prologue, there's a note from the crew, basically the authors explaining who the book is for.
And this is key, right? Telling you if this book is actually meant for you. They say it's brewed strong for everyday Canadians.
And they get specific. People juggling groceries, mortgages, kids' expenses, maybe dealing with that friend obsessed with crypto. Sound familiar?
If you see yourself in those everyday Canadian struggles, they're talking directly to you. They're deliberately not aiming for finance gurus or the super rich.
They even say what it's not for. Day traders, hedge fund hotshots, or people who say things like alpha generation at parties.
Huh. That lowers the intimidation factor immediately. They're saying, you don't need fancy jargon or deep expertise. It's an anti-jargon promise.
So what is the goal? It's simple, and it ties right back to the characters. Help you care about keeping more of your money, growing it smartly.
And sleeping well at night.
Mm-hmm.
Those three things hit the nail on the head. Keeping more money tackles scarcity. Linda, Raj, Zara. Growing it smartly addresses future goals. Everyone. And sleeping well tackles that crippling anxiety. All of them.
And the outcome they're aiming for, making you financially fluent without the spreadsheets-induced headaches.
That's the dream, isn't it? Understanding your money, feeling competent, but without it feeling like torture. Clarity and simplicity. It's exactly what Linda, Zara, Raj, and Gerry are looking for.
So does that description, who it's for, what it aims to do, resonate with your own situation and what you want? Does that promise of simplicity make diving into finance feel less daunting?
Knowing who the authors are aiming for helps you decide if their approach is right for you.
Which brings us to the authors themselves. Valerie Greenwood and Harry Vidalkar. The source calls them two caffeine-fueled humans. And their backgrounds are this amazing mix of serious credentials and really diverse, relatable life experience.
Let's start with Valerie Greenwood. Professionally, she's a CPA, MBA, a lover of learning and money, focused on making it and keeping it, and importantly, a self-made millionaire.
Self-made is key. She's walked the walk, built wealth herself, not just teaching theory, and her path there was anything but typical.
Incredibly varied. Started picking strawberries at 11, then worked as a CNA, upgraded to LPN. That caring background probably informs her empathetic approach.
Then nearly 20 years in the Canadian Military Reserves. Aircraft tech, fixing planes, super technical, but also volunteered for canteens, fundraisers, ran finances for a curling club, won awards.
That military experience means discipline, problem-solving, managing complex budgets under pressure, and running club finances. Practical business sense. Very grounded.
After the military, she goes back to school, gets her CGA, then an MBA.
Shows real dedication to formal financial learning, building on all that practical experience. Deep intellectual curiosity.
She worked in both private and public sectors, even tried being self-employed, which taught her why it is not for everyone.
That's invaluable insight for a book aimed at people like Linda, who might be entrepreneurs or freelancers. She gets the unique challenges of being your own boss.
Her passion now, passing on those life lessons, empowering people with tools and knowledge to take control.
She comes across as a mentor, wanting to share what she's learned. And she taught at SAIT, where Harry apparently pushed her to use tech like Google Docs, shows she adapts.
Her superpower, according to the source, attention to detail, editing. Harry roped her in for the book. She's called the emotional translator, the reason no one threw a calculator out the window.
That's maybe her most vital role for this audience. Harry brings the finance, Valerie makes sure it's clear, patient, empathetic. She bridges the gap between complex ideas and real feelings, tackling that spreadsheets-induced headaches issue head-on. She gets the psychology of money.
And now she's enjoying retirement, still teaching, staying fit, managing her own money. The source notes insightfully, planning for retirement is one thing, but how to be retired is another new adventure.
Which connects right back to Gerry. It shows Valerie isn't just talking theory, she's living retirement. Her first-hand experience adds huge credibility to the advice on that life stage.
So thinking about Valerie's journey, strawberries to military to finance pro-stop, does that diverse, hands-on background inspire confidence? Does her role as emotional translator suggest the book will connect on a personal level?
Her whole story suggests practicality, grounding, and empathy. Guidance you can likely relate to.
Okay, then there's Harry Vidalkar. His profile screams finance expertise, CFA, CFP, CSC, MBA finance, PhD candidate. He calls himself a proud collector of acronyms, a lifelong student of the money game.
And also a self-made multimillionaire and retired fintech founder. So deep technical knowledge, academic rigor, and practical success in both traditional finance and modern tech finance.
The CFA and CFP are top-tier credentials. The fintech founder part means he gets the digital world, online investing, crypto, apps, crucial today. And like Valerie, self-made adds weight. He built wealth applying these ideas.
His own story starts relatable too. A ramen-fueled rookie investor in 2010.
Right. Started small, learned as he went, understands starting out on a tight budget, like Zara or maybe young Raj.
And he was going full crypto before school, bought Bitcoin at $113.
Shows he's forward-thinking, has real experience in those newer assets that grab people's attention, like Zara's. He understands that world, got in early.
He also collected rental properties, built a diverse portfolio of blue-chip stalwarts with moonshot tech bets.
So practical experience across different asset classes, real estate, stable stocks, high-risk tech. That balanced approach is valuable for teaching others how to build a solid portfolio.
Today, he teaches at SAI and MRU, calls himself a wealth whisperer and a spreadsheet gladiator.
Teaching proves he can explain complex stuff. Wealth whisperer suggests calm guidance. Spreadsheet gladiator, a funny nod to his analytical side.
And he's reached over 30,000 students online. Apparently uses dad jokes about compound interest on YouTube.
That's his communication style, making complex finance engaging, maybe even fun, using humor, just like Agnes said about Jordan.
The source highlights his ability to bridge finance, tech, and humor. He's advised judges on blockchain law, designed a fintech major.
So he's not just doing basic personal finance. He's at the cutting edge, understanding where finance is going. That gives a really modern perspective.
He calls the book his most heartfelt and hilarious creation yet. A love letter to generational wealth, financial literacy, and the awkward conversations we all avoid.
That framing is great. Generational wealth speaks to Gerry and Raj. Financial literacy is the core mission. And awkward conversations that hits the emotional side, Valerie helps translate.
And when he's not working, quintessentially Canadian, double doubles, Calgary Flames fan. And he reminds people boring investing is beautiful.
That boring is beautiful philosophy is important. It pushes back against the risky, get-rich-quick stuff that tempts people like Zara, advocates for steady, long-term strategies.
His role in the book, bringing the humorous dialogue, quips, and charts and spreadsheets.
He provides the data, the structure, the technical bits, but wrapped in that engaging, funny style so it doesn't feel like a textbook.
So Harry's mix, deep credentials, practical investing wins, from ramen to riches, fintech savvy, and humor. Does that make him seem like a credible and engaging guide for you? Someone who can explain money without putting you to sleep?
Seems designed to build trust through both expertise and just being approachable.
And the combination of Valerie and Harry really feels like the key, doesn't it? The source says their combined skills aim to make money make sense across generations and empower you.
Absolutely. Valerie brings the life experience, empathy, practical lessons, detail, the emotional translation. Harry brings the deep finance knowledge, the tech insight, the structure, the humor.
Together, they cover the technical and the human side of money. That makes the book potentially relevant for everyone we met. Zara's modern debt, Raj's family balancing act, Linda's rebuilding journey, Gerry's retirement realities. It's a partnership designed for a wide range of Canadian experiences.
Okay, before we wrap up this look at the beginning of Wealthy Canadian, there's one last crucial bit the sources point out. The disclaimer.
Right. Often skipped, but important. And keeping with the tone, it has some memorable lines. The main point. The book is for educational and entertainment purposes only. It is not professional financial or tax advice.
And that leads to maybe the most critical takeaway for anyone reading or listening to financial info. The need for personalization.
It's exactly. The disclaimer says the book is not a substitute for sitting down with a certified advisor or tax professional who knows your full financial situation, your risk tolerance, your weird crypto hobbies, and your fear of talking to bankers.
Love that phrasing. It uses humor to make a vital point. General knowledge is great, but how it applies to your specific life, your income, debts, family, goals, risk, comfort, even your money hangups, needs tailored advice.
Your financial life is unique. A book gives you general strategies, but a personal advisor helps you apply them to your specific situation, considering all your unique pieces. The book empowers you to ask better questions, but it can't replace that one-on-one.
The disclaimer even has funny warnings, like don't sell your house to buy a Beanie Baby index fund.
Or borrow from your RRSP to invest in your cousin's llama-themed NFT startup.
They're funny, but they highlight why blindly following general advice without considering your own situation and getting professional input can be really dangerous. It playfully reminds you to be responsible.
And it notes that while the characters are fictional, the struggles like Uncle Gerry thinking GICs or conspiracy are intentionally relatable, keeps it grounded in real life. Also mentions tax comments or general tax is super personal, needs professional advice.
And it circles back to the author's roles. Harry with the humorous dialogue, quips and charts and spreadsheets, Valerie as the life coach, emotional translator, ensuring no calculators get thrown.
Right. Harry provides the necessary technical stuff. Valerie makes sure it lands clearly, patiently, empathetically, empowering you without making you feel lectured or overwhelmed.
So why is understanding this disclaimer so crucial for you whenever you consume financial info? How does knowing the limits of general education actually empower you to take that next step, getting personalized advice when you need it?
Recognizing that general info is just the start is key. It gives you confidence and foundational knowledge, but also helps you see when and why you need that pro who can look at your whole unique picture and build a truly personal plan.
Okay, let's bring this deep dive into the beginning of Wealthy Canadian to a close. We've really unpacked that opening cafe scene, the characters, their decision, the book's promise, and the authors.
We met Linda, wrestling with single-parent entrepreneurship and divorce recovery, Zara, facing student debt and crypto FOMO, Raj, stressed by mortgage renewals and balancing kids' education with retirement, and Gerry, confronting retirement costs and legacy worries.
We saw their shared quiet anxiety about money, or maybe just the lack of clarity, push them towards seeking guidance from someone who speaks plain English and listens.
And we met the authors, Valerie and Harry. Their blend of life experience, technical skill, accessibility, and humor aims to empower everyday Canadians like you to get fluent in finance without the headache.
This deep dive, like the book itself, starts not with theory, but with acknowledging the real, messy, emotional side of financial stress that maybe you feel too.
And it sets the stage for a journey towards clarity, control, and confidence with your money, guided by people who get that it's about life, not just numbers.
So, as you go about your day, here's something to think about. Based on Linda, Zara, Raj, and Gerry, whose financial worry or situation resonated most strongly with you right now?
And can you pinpoint a specific feeling they described? Linda's brick wall or uphill battle, Zora's mountain of debt or that poof-gone crypto feeling, Raj's dread or knot in my stomach, Gerry's tarnished brass retirement or fear of being a burden. Have you felt that exact feeling about your own money?
Just naming that feeling, acknowledging it, can be the very first and sometimes the hardest step towards figuring out your own path forward. Thanks for diving deep with us today.